All right. Good morning and welcome to my presentation. The subject that I am studying this year, and I also studied last year, is broadcast journalism, and my name is Ari S OW. This is my second year in ISM, as I said before. I'm a senior here at Frisco High School. I'd like to say that I'm caring, persistent, dedicated, and passionate. I'm involved with NHS, Frisco Miracle League, Student Council, and I volunteered at Scottish Rites Hospital for Children in Dallas for 3 years over the summers. Next year, I'm attending the University of Missouri at Columbia, or Mizzou, and I plan to double major in public relations and broadcast. The field that I'm interested in getting to learn more about this year is broadcast journalism, which I studied for the first half of this year, and then I studied last year, but I'm actually changing and going to public relations with my new mentor who works for Strauss & Company in Dallas. But at the same time, she has a lot of connections, so she is going to help me out with the broadcast part too. ISM will give me a chance to discover skills that I never knew I even possessed, get a head start in my career, and touch the lives of others faster than I've ever imagined. Broadcast journalism is a journalist who broadcasts live news of various topics on the television or the radio. I want to look into sports more than the news, and I'll get into why a little bit later on. This was my mentor last year. Her name is Brittany Nguyen. She worked with the Texas Legends. She introduced me to public relations last year. She taught me how to take photos correctly at the games. I would spend from 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock at the Legends games at least once a weekend. She taught me, she also helped me get on a radio talk show with a fellow Legends worker, Robin, so I got to ask a few questions, and it was really cool, kind of nerve-wracking, even though you couldn't see what I was doing. It was really fun. I worked with Travis. He's the broadcast journalist for the Legends, and I interviewed the players and the coach. When I interviewed one of the players, we sat in the actual office, and if you've ever been to the Legends office, then you know that it's really laxed and really fun, and all the workers are really nice. But we just sat on a couch, and we talked about it, and I wasn't uncomfortable at all, and I get so nervous and shy, so it was really surprising. But I got to write an article for the official Texas Legends website that was actually featured on their site, and I was also required to discover how to increase the followers on the Legends Twitter and Instagram accounts, which was more difficult because some of their players, they had millions on millions of followers, and then you look at the actual Legends account and they had 200. So I came up with having some of the players feature their actual site and tag them in photos, which inspired people to kind of follow them more. My interview last year, which I still keep in contact with her, is Emily Jones with Fox 4 Sports. She told me that I must be persistent and aggressive and have tons of connections. She inspired me to take sports into consideration due to her personal story with past news broadcasting jobs. When she first got into news broadcasting, she had to report over a school bus that had gotten into an accident, and all of the kids had passed away, and she had to have a straight face on. She couldn't do it. And when I heard that story, I realized I could not be in the news and say all of those stories. She's always wanted to be a journalist. She told me I had to put my time in to earn my stripes, so everything's not just handed to me on a silver platter. Television is not going anywhere. It will only get bigger and better. So. Then on the same day, I also interviewed with Tom Grieve and Steve Busby. They're Texas Ranger announcers. They told me to be well prepared and know the subject like the back of my hand. They told me to take speech classes for self-confidence build-up and then believe what I say. So I have to have facts to back up everything that I say. You have to spend hours and hours researching each game and everything. It's an extremely difficult field to get involved with, so take every opportunity offered. Neither one of these men ever thought of getting getting involved with media aspects of sports. They're both ex-players that were offered this wonderful career on the spot. I also interviewed with Megan Harris from WFAA 8. She's the executive producer. She produces every 4, 5, 6, and 8 o'clock news showings. Before she actually got involved with her first job back in Abilene, she sent out 169 resumes after she graduated college, 2 per each place she applied to, and she only got 1 call back for an $8 per hour job. So she took that job and she spent the nights crying in her car, and she said it was a hard journey to get where she is now, but it was all worth it. In sports broadcasting, you can never make an error, especially as a woman, is what she said, because you're ridiculed for anything that you say, because I'm doing a whole other thing over how men dominate sports broadcasting in my English class, actually, and I've done a little bit of research, and they all say that they'd rather hear a man's voice reporting on it because that's what they're used to and that they've dominated for so long. And just hearing a woman's voice reporting on sports and games would just throw them off, which I didn't understand how a voice could throw it off. And then she also told me, you must live and breathe news. It is your life. Journalism always makes an impact, no matter if it's negative or positive. Certain news segments stick with you for life in a negative, haunting kind of way. So you have to have tough skin and learn to shake it off and have those boundaries. She covered Big D, NYE, and the JFK 50-year memorial last year. And she spent a whole year of preparation for the JFK 50-year memorial, and it was all on her. She did everything for it. Over the summer, I worked with Dana Larson for Fox Sports Southwest. She taught me the basics of being on camera and how to prepare for a segment on a specific sport. What was cool was I also got an interview with Pudge Rodriguez over the summer, and so I got to sit down with both of them and kind of observe them on how they report, and I got to go to one of the games, one of the Ranger games, so I got to see them live in action. Each segment takes pages of notes from one game. She showed me her notebook, and it was filled just from 4 games, so she said she goes through them like no other. To be successful on TV, you have to make it seem like sports talk is your second language. It has to come naturally to you. You can't just read your script or read your notes. You have to be able to hold a full-on conversation. In other words, know every sport like the back of your hand, as said by Steve Busby, and be able to have relaxed conversations on camera. Scott Purcell was my first interview this year. He enjoys his job as a reporter for the Dallas Cowboys. We met up at his wife's dance studio, so it was really laxed again, and he was really nice. He gave me a lot of information that I did not even know I needed to have. He told me to take these coding classes whenever I got to college, if they were offered, because it would get me more jobs in the broadcast field, since very little amount of people get involved with it. But you can make your own website and know the different codes for each website. The hardest part of being in the broadcast field is the long hours. So he said that he has to give up a lot of family time, but he still gets family time, just not as much as he'd like. Sometimes he has to pick up everything and just leave for a week or 2 just for his job. And I talked to his wife about it, and she said it's difficult, but they get through it. My next interview was Brad Sham. Brad was the most experienced person that I've interviewed with so far. He also went to Missouri, so that was a win-win situation. He had the chance to cover the Winter Olympics of 1996 for Time Warner. His second biggest accomplishment was covering a NASCAR race. He had no clue of what was going on, so he was just told, oh, you need to cover this and you need to do it now. He didn't care about NASCAR, he didn't know about NASCAR, so it was very nerve-wracking, because he just had to report on something he had no backstory with. He has definitely learned along the pathway of his journey of being a broadcast journalist. He gets heated when a fan jumps on the bandwagon of a sports team, or when a fan expects the team to be perfect. I accidentally slipped in our interview and I told him that my dad was pretty upset about the loss of the Cowboys the night before, and he gave me a huge rant about how the fans need to expect less than perfection from each team, and it was really awkward. They're just like every other team. They just have to lose at some point. I also interviewed with Gina Miller. She works with CBS 11. In the middle of our interview at Corner Bakery in Dallas, 2 other customers walking around told Gina they missed seeing her on TV screens, which that was really cool to me because I was sitting with her and 2 people that were just eating at Corner Bakery. Oh my gosh, Gina Miller, that's you. I miss you on TV. I don't know, And then she explained how you can't walk into a broadcast shop knowing everything. You learn as you work. She told me that one major issue with broadcast journalism is that women are based on their appearance, and that she lost out on a job to a woman that was 25 and just came out of college just because she was younger, a fresh face. But Gina knew more, so she was more fit for the job, but since she wasn't as young, she didn't get it. And then they actually called her back and asked her to kind of be the little girl's mentor, and Gina was like, no, I'm sorry, I have a perfect job right now. To start out, she was handed a camera and was told to come back with action shots of a football game. She wasn't told how to use the camera, what type of camera it was. She was just sent down there. One of the research assessments that I had was Mike Wallace's death article. The most feared words for almost a century were "Mike Wallace is here." This man created 60 Minutes and successfully kept it going for several years. He was involved with one of the rarest types of journalism, investigative journalism. In the article, it talks about how investigative journalism is really hard to get into, and at the time it was really rare, but it's still up and coming. So he made an impact on his fans that I can only hope to achieve, and he will forever be named as the modern father of journalism. This one really stuck to me. I don't know why, but it's Black women in the broadcast field. An African American woman was involved with the broadcast journalism field. She started out as a big-time editor for a nearby newspaper. She had tons of awards. She was amazing at what she did. She got hired, her name was Renee. Renee got hired in the 70s, and she was on the television every day, 3 times a day. She didn't think anything of the fact that she possessed an afro and reported the news at the same time. But she got a bunch of calls from different viewers saying that she needed a more sleek, natural look just because of her hair, which again proves that women are based on their appearance. Her viewers noticed and constantly complained about the show because she didn't look clean enough. Her boss told her to go fix her hair or she would be fired. And she stuck with her gut. She stood her ground and said, no, I'm going to keep my afro and I don't care about losing my career. I can find another career somewhere else. I'm good at what I do. So she wasn't fired. She got to keep her job. And her fro. My personal inspirations are Arianna Huffington. On Becoming Fearless was her book. She's also the Huffington Post main person. I don't know how to describe her. On Becoming Fearless has impacted my life as well as many other young girls that want to get out of their shy shells. After reading the book, because my mom told me I was too shy and that I needed to be able to be more outspoken, I don't know, I just felt like I had more power and that I could do that. She helped me come over my fear of public speaking almost completely, but not all the way. Mrs. Webb was my 2nd grade teacher who was extremely intimidating and was a tough grader, but she told me I had skills in writing and helped me keep going. And then my quote from Oscar Wilde is, by giving us the opportunity of the uneducated, journalism keeps us in touch with the ignorance of our community. So basically, journalism keeps everyone tied together. No one realizes it, but without journalism, we wouldn't realize what was going on around the world or even down the road. And then this was my original work last year. It's really awkward. If the sound works. All right, well, basically, I asked him who his inspiration was for basketball and why he got involved with it, but it was his grandfather, and his grandfather kind of passed it down to his father, and then his father passed it down to him. So it was a really touching story. And last year, actually in the middle of the varsity football season, he just talked to the coaches and started on varsity. So I thought that was really cool, because who can just start on varsity, even if it is your junior year, but The coaches have been looking at him since his 8th grade year. So, TJ has always had a passion for basketball, but the high school coaches knew he was capable of so much more. He's not only in football, basketball, but also in track. So he's a star in all 3 sports. The football coaches have been begging for him since they watched him a few games in his prime during middle school. TJ has been playing on the varsity football team since the middle of his junior year, when he was just able to start mid-season. TJ is, of course, also a huge track star at Frisco High. There's nothing this boy can't do when it comes to athletics. And then my original work last year, but I don't think the sound's working, so. It was over the cell phone use with our generation, and if we use it too much for social media and all of that stuff. But a lot of kids said yes, and that it's damaging how we speak to other people, which I was really surprised because I know I'm addicted to my phone. So I was expecting other kids to be like, no, we're fine, our generation's fine. We rely on, there's a lot of technological advances, you know, but I guess the video is kind of pointless. A main issue of getting to students and teenagers is that there is a consistent distraction of technology. As you saw, well, kind of, students obsess over social media applications like Twitter and Instagram. It keeps students from doing their homework. The idea behind doing a segment over the overuse of technology was to get the FHS views on the power of their cell phones. Sadly, students and teenagers in our generation are not familiar with life without the advancement and reliance on technology. They may have said that we're too reliant on technology, but they don't know life without it. In this year's original work, it was a basketball update.
This upcoming Tuesday is the Frisco Centennial game at Centennial. There's many teams that seem to do better at home, and Frisco happens to be one of them. They have a 5-1 record at home. They won 5, lost 1. Away, they've won 4 and lost 4. This is going to be a very interesting game, considering in-state Centennial's ranked 77 and Frisco's 84. It's going to be very close and also determine who's going to do best in playoffs and potentially move on to the next round. It's only the second half, and we are already looking at a very competitive game, with the score being neck and neck. With both teams having
No,
a equal amount of talent and being
it messed up because
state rankings, it was
I don't know how to
already
explain
predicted
it.
to be an action-filled
There was supposed to be another clip of a basketball thing, and it just went from the pregame to the halftime show, and so it looks really awkward, but I'll fix it.
We're looking at a very competitive and rough team.
Same with the Titans. They managed to beat Frisco last year. Stay tuned to find out who will finish the game off with a win.
How many years have you been on varsity?
3 years.
I couldn't
And
read the
how's the team
script.
progressed?
We've gotten a lot closer over the years because whenever I started out, there were a lot of seniors already, and so after they left, the younger guys got a lot closer, and it really shows on the court.
And how has your senior year been on varsity?
I'm loving it. We're really close with all the other players, and just having a lot of fun with it.
And the sound got cut.
Your senior year will be like in basketball.
I just hope to have a bigger part of the team and be a leader to the younger guys. We should have a pretty good year next year.
The Frisco Lions pulled through with a win against the Centennial Titans tonight at Centennial. The ending score was 39-30. With this win, Frisco has upgraded their rankings to 16 wins and 5 losses. This Friday, we face Heritage High School. They are ranked 76 in state, and we still stand at 84. This will be another close game, so come out and watch.
This was obviously a while ago because the Heritage game was like a month ago, but. Oh, and also I was with Madison Hildreth in that, if you guys know who that is. She's also studying broadcast journalism. Madison was a wonderful person to work with for my original work project. She's a natural when it comes to the camera. We both were set out of our comfort zone when we attended multiple of the varsity boys basketball games to choose which game to do pre, halftime, and post-game show over. On top of us taking the time out of our school nights to get to these games, we had to research the different rankings of the teams in the FISD district. We chose to cover the Centennial game since it was the game that we knew the most about. We won, and we were able to get a lot of great B-roll from it. My future goals for ISM. I want to discover more about public relations and broadcasting, sports broadcasting, since I am going to be attending the University of Missouri and double majoring in both fields next fall. I want to specifically work with Jennifer Strauss for public relations during the school year. She works for her own successful business named Strauss & Company. While in ISM, I want to be able to prove myself worthy of a high position in internship, even though I'm in high school. Everything must be earned, especially respect. I want to work in sports, public relations, or, I don't know if that's a typo, or sports broadcasting, because as cliche as it may be, I only want a career, not a job. A career is something you love to wake up to and go to in the mornings, something you can be passionate about. A job is what you use to put food on the table. You don't even have to enjoy it. Thank you for attending my presentation. I think this is on. Yes, it was.
2039.